let me play on that idea a little bit more. Can you have a go at answering these questions in your groups? Okay, so can I give you 5 minutes? I've basically given you 4 questions here, and you noticed I've been ambiguous. I've talked about average, okay, which means that you can talk either about mode, the median, or the mean. Can you think in each case what would happen if you took the mode, if you took the median, and if you took the mean? Okay, so for each case, for example, the first one, what is the average number of legs? What is the average number of legs? Okay, can you think what the modal number of legs would be, what the median number of legs would be, and what the mean number of legs would be? Okay, and then that will hopefully give an illustration of when each thing starts to break down. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so can I give you 5 minutes to do that for me? Okay, so can we go through these questions for me? Can we go through these questions? The reason why I put these questions on the board is because I really wanted to illustrate when each measure of central tendency will be used, okay? Because don't just say average, like we're quite lazy when we mean average. We need to be aware about what we mean, okay? So, the first question asks, what is the average number of legs? So let's have a think. First of all, what would the modal number of legs be? 2. Most people have 2 legs. Most people have 2 legs, okay? What would the median number of legs be? 2. It would also be 2. Now, how do you visualize that? Well, what you need to do is you need to order everybody into a line, okay? So think about the median is you take everybody that you want to measure, okay? And you order them in a line according to number of legs which they have. So everybody which has 0 legs would be at the start. Then you have all the people with 0 legs. Then you get to the people which have 1 leg. And you'd have all the people with 1 leg. Then you put all the people with 2 legs, okay? And then 3 legs and 4 legs and so on, okay? So what you are saying then, for the median, walk along that line and stop when you get to the midpoint. The median means the middle, okay? So you've got everybody in a line, they're all in order. The 0 legs are on this side, 1 legs, and then the 2 legs. You walk along that line and you stop when you get to the middle. How many legs do you expect that person to have? 2, because the majority of people will have 2 legs, yeah? What about the mean number of legs?
2.
Not for the mean, because you remember the mean gets attracted towards the outliers. You remember that activity we did with the drag and drop, yeah? The mean gets attracted towards the outliers. So the outliers in this case would be the 0 and the 1 leg people, okay? Which means that the mean will get attracted towards those people. So actually, it'll be slightly less than 2. It'll be about 1.8 or 1.9. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it gets attracted towards that outlier. Okay? So in that case, the mean would be a rubbish measure. Okay? Because it's less. It's less than what you expect it should be. Remember, average should be what number do you expect to get? You don't expect to get 1.8 and 1.9. Okay? So therefore, I'd say either the median or the mode would be better in that situation. Have a think about the next one. The next one says, what is the average number of testicles? This is a harder one, okay? This is a harder one. What would the modal number of testicles be? 2 or 0? Because you've got to think women and men, right? Women and men. So actually, in this case, it will be bimodal, okay? Because women are expected to have no testicles, men are expected to have 2 testicles. If you assume that the population is roughly 50-50, which is not actually, slightly in favour of females, but let's assume it was 50-50, you'd have half of the people with 2 testicles, half of the people with 0 testicles, so therefore the modal number would be 0 and 2. Does that make sense? Yeah? What would the median number of testicles be then? It depends, doesn't it? It depends. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You've just got to imagine, okay, let's suppose we do it with 10 and 10, okay? So on this side, we're going to have females. Sorry for my drawing of females. 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So all of these people have 0 testicles, okay? And on the right, we're going to have men. Sorry, on the left, we're going to have men. So here we go. There's men. Okay? Now have a think. Have a think. Will all of these men have 2 testicles? There might be some with 0 testicles and there might be some with 1 testicle. Okay? So therefore, if you walk along this line, so let's suppose we're putting them in order. Admittedly, I've done it the wrong way. Okay? So if we walk along this line, we've got 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay? And let's suppose we have 1. Let's suppose we have 0 and then 1, and all these people have 2. Okay? Let's walk along this line. I know I've drawn it in the wrong place, but let's get on with this. Okay? So if we move along this line, okay, we get to the median person. So what do we expect the median person to have? 0. Yeah? So the median in this case would be 0. Okay? Now, of course, it depends on your data set. It depends on your data set, right? But are you happy? Because there's some men with 0 testicles and 1 testicle. If you walk along this line, get to the midpoint, it will be either 0 or 1.
So if we change 0 to 1.
Here? Yes?
So it would be half, right?
Yes, it would be halfway between, so you'd have half a testicle, which, yeah, sounds painful, right? Exactly. So the point is you need to think about your data set, okay? This is assuming you have 50% men, 50% females. Of course, you might not have 50% men, 50% females. I think in reality, it's about 55-45 in favour of females, like that's the global population. So actually, there's more females than males, okay? So in which case, the median should be 0, yeah? So again, but then if you had more men than females, then the median would be 2. Do you get the problem here? So measure of central tendency starts to be a bit ambiguous in this case. What would the mean number of testicles be?
If it's 50-50, it could be 1.
I'd say it's 1, yeah, assuming that all these people have 2 testicles. So again, it depends on your data set, yeah? Are you happy it's not going to be 0 and it's not going to be 2? It's going to be somewhere in the middle, yeah? And it's probably not going to be a whole number either, okay? So actually in this case, when I say average, you need to be really careful about what you mean by that. I would say in this case, the mode would be the most appropriate measure. Are you happy? Because 0 or 2, even though it's 2 numbers, I think that best represents what happens in nature. People have 0 testicles, females, or 2 testicles, males. Does that make sense?
So you have 2 values, but you previously...
Yes, I know.
Not.
I know, exactly. So ideally, we just want 1 measure. But actually, in this case, because we're grouping together males and females, I think it is appropriate to report 2 values. 1 for the males and 1 for the females.
So it depends what I illustrate.
Absolutely. And this is what I mean. It's ambiguous. But you're statisticians, right? You should look at this and look at it critically. Look at it critically. So you say, well, actually, in this case, I think it's appropriate to report 2 measures because of this reason. You need to justify yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's have a look at the next one, then we'll take a break in just a second. What is the average number of sexual partners? Okay, so let's have a think. What would the modal number of sexual partners be? I mean, I would say a number around 5. Most people sleep with about 5 people in their lifetime. Okay, so the modal will probably be about 5, right? What do you think the median would be? So imagine if you, again, ordered everybody into a line according to the number of people they've slept with. You walk halfway along that line. You stop when you get to the halfway point, right? What do you expect that person to have? How many people do you expect that person to have slept with?
Like 2.
Yeah, possibly, okay? So, I mean, there's some data which I want to show you at the very end if there's time, okay, which actually reports this. But yeah, it should be somewhere in the region of about 2 to 5 people. 2 to 5 people. But then if you ask about the mean, what would the mean number of sexual partners be? Bigger or smaller than 5? It would be bigger. It would be bigger because if you think about it, there's some people which have slept with hundreds and hundreds of people. So they're outliers, right? So the mean gets pushed towards those outliers. Does that make sense? So whilst the mode and the median are good representatives there, because it should be about 4 or 5 people, right? Because there's people that have slept with hundreds or thousands of people, that gets pushed up. The mean gets pushed up. So therefore, it's actually bigger than what it should be. Does that make sense? Good. And then same thing for income. Same thing for income. The average income in this country should be about £25,000 to £30,000. Okay. If you think about the mode, it will be somewhere in that region. Okay. Most people earn about that. If you think about the median, it will be in that region. Most people earn about that. But if you think about the mean, again, it will be much higher because there's millionaires, there's billionaires there. And therefore that data gets pushed towards that end. Does that make sense to everyone?